check out this Excel model I put together. This is the fourth model. The first one was my DCF. The second one was my dividend discount model. The third one was the Black-Scholes model to value options. And this is, I think this may be more useful because you can, when you want to buy a stock or sell your stock, you like to look at ratios like the PE, price sales, return on assets, things like that. And you could, on a million websites, you could find all those ratios. But I think if you calculate the ratios yourself, not only will you understand it better, but you can kind of learn more about the company because, for instance, if you know they're going to be acquiring another company in the future, then you could adjust the ratios and see what happens to the company. Or if you know revenue is going to be a certain number when the company gives that guidance, then you could play around with the numbers and really kind of deep dive into it. Because a lot of times people don't really understand these the ratios. Like they might be able to memorize some ratios, like the PE. Most people have that memorized. But if you want to really understand the ratios, you kind of have to build them yourself and put them back together. And so it's pretty simple what I did. You could take any stock. I just took Meta because that's I always use that one. And just go to Yahoo Finance. And then Yahoo Finance is good because everything's kind of in the same exact order. So there's never any problems with finding the info. Just, grab like the revenue, grab the cost of revenue, operating income, net income, also interest expense. And it's just, you just plug it in. You plug it in. Here's interest expense right here. Because in order to calculate the interest coverage ratio, you need interest expense. Take, market cap, annual dividends. So the nice thing about Yahoo Finance is if you go to the main page for any ticker, it gives you the dividend, the annual dividend. So you can just grab that and put it in here. And same thing with the balance sheet. This is the balance sheet section. So you go to financials in Yahoo Finance, go to balance sheet. It's good if you can pull this from the 10K or 10Q, but sometimes it gets a little confusing because companies have the information laid out slightly differently sometimes. So sometimes you might not know which number to grab. Yahoo Finance, it's very easy. So you just got to take the cash, 70.9 billion. And that's just in the asset section, current assets, 70.9 billion. Grab the accounts receivables. Inventory, there's no inventory. And then the non-current assets, 165 billion. So right here, total non-current assets, 165 billion. And if you want to learn what they are, you can obviously click on that button and you would see all the non-current assets. Get the current liabilities, 33 billion. It's right here, 33 billion. You also want to grab accounts payable, 20 billion, because that's part of one of the calculations. And you don't have to calculate the equity. The equity is just assets minus liabilities. So only plug in the blue and total debt. And now all the ratios are calculated. That's all you have to do. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13, plus 4. So 17 numbers you have to input. And then it calculates all these ratios. So current ratio, current assets, which is 91 billion. That's right here, over current liabilities, 33 billion. So now you have your current ratio, 2.7. And you want to make sure the current ratio is above 1. And so to give you an example how you can use this tool, say Meta is going to acquire a company for 10 billion, and they say we're going to acquire this company for all cash. Then you can just minus 10 billion from the cash, and now you could see what the current ratio is going to be. And it's good to compare it with similar companies in the same industry. And once you kind of create this, or kind of like look into it and try to like change numbers and see how the ratios change, you're gonna understand it on a different level. So you won't have to Google these terms, because anybody can Google anything. But once it's part of your kind of, it's like stuck in your brain, then you don't have to use that energy to figure out what the ratio is. You can start learning other things, and it's all like building blocks. So this ties into all the solvency ratios: debt over equity, 0.3. And you could just email me and I'll send you this Excel file so you have the entire thing yourself. I just did a stock on Hut 8. It's a Bitcoin mining company. They're a vertically integrated Bitcoin miner. So I'm not too familiar with it, but of course they've went up a lot because the price of all Bitcoin miners pretty much moves with the price of Bitcoin. So it's up like 200% this year. I want to compare the stock price to the price of Bitcoin. I hate the new Yahoo Finance. It doesn't work. I wish it worked. Well, let's just. So it went from 10 to 28. So in the very beginning of the year, it was 10. Now it's 28. Let's see Bitcoin. It must have went up a similar amount. Wow, it's almost 100,000. I didn't realize. I knew it was hit 90. I didn't realize it hit 100. So that went from 39, 40 to 97. So almost identical growth as this company, because Hut 8 pretty much holds. They mine Bitcoin, and most of their assets are Bitcoin. So if you look at a balance sheet, it's Bitcoin. They hold Bitcoin for themselves and for other companies. So they do have revenue, 44 million for the quarter. It doubled from last year. And they actually had positive net income for the year, $1 million. Positive EBITDA, although last year was 11 million, this quarter it's 5.6 million. They're building a next generation energy infrastructure platform. This is in Texas, on the Texas Panhandle. So they're building this for more Bitcoin mining. Has anybody ever heard of this company, Hut 8? So the other thing I was talking about earlier is this Excel file. So you can do this with any company. You just plug in just some info from the income statement and some info from the balance sheet. So it's only 10 numbers you plug in, and then it populates all these ratios. And then you could totally tinker around with the ratios. Because a lot of times it's hard to kind of visualize how these will change. Like for instance, the PE is probably the most popular ratio. So their PE is 26, which is stock price over earnings per share. So if for instance their net income went up, say it grew 30%. See, right now the PE is 26. If it grew 30%, it would go down to 20 because the top of it is net income. But let me know in the comments. Does anybody look at these ratios? And then the dividend yield. Well, dividend yield is let me show you that. That's a little easier to visualize for people. So the way the dividend moves is if the company pays a larger dividend or a smaller dividend. Let me so right now they pay a $2 annual dividend. Okay, so they've only paid 3 dividends ever, Meta. The last 3 quarters they paid 50 cents. So the way Yahoo Finance calculates their dividend, they take the most recent dividend and multiply it by 4 because it's a quarterly dividend. So even though they haven't paid $2 in dividends, since it's a quarterly dividend, you just multiply it by 4, and that's how you get your annual dividend. So the yield is currently 0.35%. Let me show you what I mean. So you can see right here, 0.35%. That's their dividend yield. So if they raise their dividend, let me just, so say they double their dividend. Instead of paying 50 cents per quarter, they pay $1. So if they double their dividend, watch, this will go up to 0.7%. But how could the dividend go up? Say they don't change their dividend at all. They keep it 50 cents per quarter. How can the yield go up? The other part of the equation, the stock price, which is on the bottom of the equation, say it gets cut in half. It goes from 574 down to 287. It still doubles the dividend, even though they didn't touch their, even though they didn't change how much they pay in dividend, the yield changes because the yield is pegged off the stock price. So it's dividend over yield. That's why you can make like an amazing return on certain stocks if you buy the stock when it's really low in price. Like if you bought Coca-Cola 40 years ago, even if they never really, even if they don't change their dividend much, just the stock going up and splitting, your cost basis would be so low. So I think it's a really helpful tool. I'm trying to come up with different ways. So once you enter all these numbers, it auto-populates the ratios. So earnings per share. And it's good to look at this stuff. Then you could kind of see how things are calculated. And it definitely gives you a better sense when investing in stocks. Because if you totally understand, because if I said to you, what happens if expenses go up? How does that affect the PE ratio? A lot of times people can't, off the top of their head, they can't answer that. They either have to Google it, but if you understand these ratios inside and out, and you go, oh, of course, if expenses go up, then net income goes down. And if net income goes down, then a PE does this. That's kind of what you want to get to. You don't want to have to like think of these situations or not be sure. It's kind of like stock buybacks. If a company buys back their own stock, how does that benefit the company or you, the investor? It actually doesn't even change anything. I mean, it's hard to, because when a company buys back stock, you would think it's a huge benefit to you, but it doesn't affect your stake in a company at all, because they just take cash off the balance sheet and remove stock. So both their cash and their equity go down. So you have to think of the business as a whole, and it doesn't actually benefit you as a stockholder. They buy back stock, but everybody wants stock buybacks, and I totally understand why. Because that's how people get a return. If you're investing in a company that doesn't pay a dividend, the only way you get a return is if they buy back stock. But let me know if is anybody actually on the stream. I haven't gotten a comment, and same thing this morning. I haven't gotten a comment. So yeah, so these Bitcoin mining companies, I just did a video on Hut 8, and the stock is up like 200% this year because the Bitcoin price is up. It's interesting. Let me show you their 10Q. It's so this is their balance sheet. So they have 1.1 billion of assets, but a majority of that, let's see, a little more than half is just Bitcoin, is the Bitcoin they hold. They hold it in custody for I guess their customers, and they also have it pledged as collateral. So they don't actually hold the 269 million. It's just pledged to them. So if someone defaults on a payment, then they can take that Bitcoin that's pledged to them. Mechanically, I'm not too sure how they get access to it if it's just pledged to them. That would be an interesting 72 million of cash. But I know they mine Bitcoin, and it's all Bitcoin. They don't have any other crypto, at least from what I found out. So you can see the 305 million is Bitcoin held in custody, and the 269 million is Bitcoin pledged as collateral. So it's all Bitcoin. If it doesn't matter if you invest in this company or you buy Bitcoin, because if Bitcoin prices go up, you want to just be invested in a company that holds Bitcoin, or just buy Bitcoin outright. It doesn't really matter, because if Bitcoin goes down, those stocks go down, including the price of Bitcoin. And if interesting how much Coinbase moves with the price of Bitcoin, because Coinbase is just a company. It shouldn't matter the price of Bitcoin, yet the stock price kind of moves almost perfectly correlated to Bitcoin. I mean, of course, I wish I invested in these companies. Oh, this is Hut 8. Every time I type in Hut 8, it brings this Hut. I guess they're not. Oh, it's a school. Hut 8 is a school. No, this is the company. It's kind of weird. HUD 8 was a section in the government code in Cipher School at Bletchley Park. World War II code breaking. HUD 8 was partnered with HUD 4. I don't get this. I guess they don't have a Wikipedia page. HUD 8 Corp. Maybe I'll just type in Corp. HUD 8 Corp. HUD 8 stock. And this is probably not. I know Mara is a Bitcoin miner. Who else is it? Mara's pretty big. 8.8 billion market cap. HUD is only 2.6 billion. What's another Bitcoin mining company? I can't remember the name of that company. I'll just Google Bitcoin mining companies. Riot, Cipher, CleanSpark, Iren, Stronghold Group, BitDeer, Hive, Mara, SOS I'm familiar with, BitFuFu. I don't see it on the list. What's that? The CEO was on a live stream with me. Does anybody remember the name of that company? Not Marathon. I can't even find it in my. Is it not? I thought the word Bitcoin was in the name of the company. I can't figure out what it is. Marathon Digital. Does anybody know the name of that? This is crazy. I can't find. Let me open my DCF. Maybe I could. It's not in my DCF either. I know it was in Pennsylvania, the company. That's all I can remember. No, Maryland. Maybe it was in Maryland. Mining company. I can't figure it out. I can't believe. Maybe it's out of business, but still, Marathon Core, Riot, CleanSpark, HUD 8. They probably changed your name. That's probably why I can't find it. Bit mining? No, I don't think that was it. TerraWolf. All they do is just carry Bitcoin on their balance sheet. So it's kind of like if you invested in a company and all they did was hold cash on their balance sheet, it's not much of a company, right? Because the whole purpose of investing is so they either make a product or provide a service and scale that way. What's his? I did a live stream with him. He was a nice guy. I can't remember his name. I don't think I'm gonna. Maybe if I do. Let me go to this website. They're in capital markets. They did a lot of things. They did Ethereum. I'm going to look up all the companies in the capital markets industry. But let me know in the comments, is there any Bitcoin company I'm not thinking about? This website, a BTCS, I think that's it. Okay, they just changed the name to BTCS. It used to be a bigger name. Like it used to be a full name. Yeah, Maryland, Silver Springs, Maryland. I'm sure it's up a lot with Bitcoin prices. So it was $1 in the beginning of the year. It hit $5 a couple weeks ago. Now it's back down to like $3.50. 62 million market cap. I mean, they never make money, these companies. They 2 million of revenue. I mean, they had a trading platform where people can trade crypto. So it wasn't just a mining company. It seemed like they had more going for them. 2 million of revenue, positive net income, which is crazy. Let's see cash flow. Negative cash flow. I wonder why I couldn't find it when I searched for it. Has anybody ever heard of this company, BTCS? Let me search. I don't know why I couldn't find it before. That's crazy. BTC. Right here, BTCS with CEO Charles Allen. Okay, I should have searched blockchain, not Bitcoin. Blockchain is the future. Don't get left behind. BTCS. Charles Allen. He did a live stream with me. But they work with a lot of crypto assets, like a ton of them. You can see right here, Ethereum, Solana, not just Bitcoin. I'm surprised they're not doing that well, because it seemed like they had a little more going for them than just like Hut 8, which is just really mining Bitcoin. Yeah, right here, Charles Allen. Yeah, I can't really. It's hard to really value these companies. It's just there's really nothing you can. It's like predicting the price of Bitcoin. Like, how can you do that? I mean, you might get lucky and predict the right price, but when you look at a company like Apple or like a company that makes a product, it makes a little more sense when you try to value them. But there's only one thing to value is the price of the underlying commodity. Same thing with a gold mining company. If they if price of gold goes up, so does the stock. Yeah, so HUD 8, so the digital assets are either held in custody or pledged. I'm surprised I don't have anything else but Bitcoin. Okay. In February 2023, U.S. Data Mining Group, Inc. was doing business as U.S. Bitcoin. HUD 8 Mining, a corporation existing under British Columbia Legacy HUD, and HUD 8 Corp., a newly formed Delaware corporation, entered into a business combination. And what happened? What the hell happened? And both HUD, Amalco, and only November 13th. This just talks about like how what companies combine together to become this company. This is the balance sheet, which we looked at. This is how they generate revenue: mining Bitcoin, managed services. That's how they generate most. Let's see what they define as managed services. Okay, managed services. So under PMAs, this is page 20. PMA is the purchase agreement. What does M stand for? The purchase. Property management agreement. It's just a contract. So managed services, this is what they do. Under PMAs, the company provides project management services for the customer's data centers, which may include end-to-end design, construction, and operating services as required by the customer. PMAs contain a single performance obligation comprising a series of distinct monthly service periods. The contracts have an initial term from 4 to 10 years. This is what they're building out in Texas. These new mining centers. Certain contracts include renewal options in exchange for the provision services. The company is entitled to various consideration, primarily in the form of fixed monthly fees. So these are the agreements it has with its customers. This is how they make money. The company acts as the principal when incurring costs. It just seems like all they do is mining. They don't really offer any any services. High performance computing. The HPC business earns revenue by providing co-location, cloud, and connectivity services to clients. So that's just part of the mining. It has to use these supercomputers in order to mine for their customers. Colocation. I always wonder what exactly does colocation mean? So it's when organizations place their own servers and other computing hardware for data storage in space rented. So when they use that servers in the data centers, it charges a fee. Measure the fair value consideration, receive services. Monthly recurring revenue from HPC services are recognized as service revenue. Transaction price is determined. And other revenue is hosting. The company has entered into hosting contracts where it operates mining equipment on behalf of third parties. So that's how it makes money. It mines not only for itself, but for customers. Because it can't just mine for itself, because I think they need some revenue. And if they just only kept the Bitcoin themselves, they would never get any revenue until they sold the Bitcoin. Consideration to which a company is entitled. So it's kind of like rents out the equipment to people who are looking to mine Bitcoin. I wish I could find an article that explains this stuff in English. Like they make everything so hut a do. Okay. We serve commercial customers across a variety of industries, including financial, healthcare, in the growing digital asset blockchain, gaming, virtual effects. We are leading. I wish I had a good article where it kind of like explains this stuff in English. Hut Aid Mining, leading Bitcoin mining with robust infrastructure. Bitcoin recently backed off for 62,000. So this was October article. The weekly performance reflected a quiet crypto market. How's Doge doing? That's probably like 25 cents. Wow, it's up to 43 cents. It's really come up. So Doge is up much more than its peak was 73 cents. So it started the year at 10 cents and it almost hit 50 cents. So it's doing better than Bitcoin. I missed changing interest rates, Circle CEO. Simply Wall Street's not too bad because they have some articles. Investor sentiment improves as stock rises. After last week's 16% share price gain to 28.45, the stock trades at a forward PE of 50x. Consensus estimate increased by 27%. I mean, nothing matters except if the price of Bitcoin. It's the only thing that matters. This company can make a ton of money or lose a ton of money. It doesn't matter. It's all price of Bitcoin that dictates the stock. Consensus EPS estimates falls by 17%. Okay, so nothing too exciting, I guess. Okay, well, I'll try to go on maybe tomorrow. Okay, thanks for watching.